So I'm gonna set an intention for this discussion, which is just to shine a light for anyone out there who's considering a path of purpose. Today, I got chiropractic student ChiroColton. Appreciate you joining us and sharing with any pre-Chiro students out there. Can we get started by you just sharing your message of what you're doing here this morning with me, and also what attracted you to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on. What a wonderful, wonderful message this is. Pre-Chiro. I'm Colton. Currently, I go to school at Palmer College of Chiropractic up at the Fountainhead in Davenport, Iowa, and I'm a facilitator for Kairos training culture. I'm about midway through the program, and I became a chiropractor because I saw a massive need. I experienced an adverse drug reaction. At the time, I was a teacher by day and business MBA student by night. And it landed me in the hospital for 3 days, lost 20 pounds. And during that time, I knew one of two things. I was either going to die or the state was going to separate me from my family. And this was all due to an adverse drug reaction that I was prescribed from urgent care because I had some tension in my back. And so that experience put me on medical leave, and I had to come to the realization that I was placed on the planet for a greater purpose. And that purpose is to naturally empower others to arise and live the examined life. And I knew that the next step that I was to take, regardless of the consequences, was to pursue chiropractic education, whatever that is. And so here I am a couple years later, humbled, honored to be able to share my truth and to be able to share my story and to be able to give back. Essentially my intention for today is to make this chiropractic decision easier. Maybe a stronger yes, or maybe a stronger no, but to bring clarity and to empower whoever hears this that, you're not alone, and that there's a lot of power that comes when you begin to get vulnerable with yourself and you begin to examine with curiosity and wonder the questions that you've always asked.
Deep. So, what is the examined life to you, and how can a student who's examining their life in this moment, they're not yet a chiropractic student, dig a little deeper into that way of being and ask a little bit more difficult questions of themselves that bring clarity and more light on the path that they choose to follow?
That's a great question. To be on a path or not to be on the path, that's not the question. The question is, what path are we on? And it's easier when we find ourselves with like-minded people, or people that have more experience than us and that have a desire to live an intentional life. Living the examined life to me is celebrating what is, celebrating the beauty and the wonder and the awe of this moment in time that we have, whatever time may be, and to ask questions. Living the examined life is much more of a path of self-discovery, of self-mastery, of self-observation. And that, for me, in my experience and with those around me, comes when we are vulnerable with ourselves and we're able to begin to switch from looking for the right answer to beginning to open up possibilities with questions. And so I've been trained and I've been taught by numerous different professionals, and they've always encouraged me, Colton, it's not about getting the right answer in life. It's about asking the right questions. And so I think this pre-Chiro is so necessary. It's so needful because it gives us the opportunity to really, fasten our seatbelt. If you're saying you want to be a chiropractor, okay, well, what is chiropractic to you? Who's defining that for you? Is it a dad? Is it a granddad? Is it an institution? Because when I look at chiropractic as it was originally intended by the discoverers, by the founders, by the developers. You go back to the green books and you see a permission slip. You see a permission slip to dive in deep to these universal principles, but you realize there's a whole galaxy and galaxies upon galaxies to be explored to what is possible, what is chiropractic. And you're about to march into an institution that may not even have that much of a self-awareness of what it's about. It may just be, to give you a degree and to get you through boards. And so I guess I find it imperative for anyone to ponder the path that their feet are on, to begin by asking questions. And often those questions are broken down very, very simply. We learned it as a little kid. They're the journalistic questions. They're the who, the what, the why, the where, the how. And it's this, it's deeper than what most would like us to believe.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very beautifully said. And I think that when you're in an educational program, which for better or worse, anyone entering a chiropractic educational program is coming from a different educational program. The educated mind often is the one that is most dominantly in enforcing the questions that are being asked, like, what does my teacher want me to ask of myself, or what is my guidance counselor asking of me? And those are usually the questions that we come to when deciding on the path to become a chiropractor. You actually have to come from a completely different place, like an innately an inner state that you come to from self-inquiry, from curiosity. So I think what I hear you saying is you're encouraging anyone in consideration of what the best path is for them that most aligns with them. It has to come from within. It has to come from this sort of inner asking. And I'm just curious, where would you guide people to maybe encounter those questions that they can ask of themselves, or how would you get people to connect deeper within, as opposed to looking outside of themselves to maybe even this interview to get those questions?
That's a profound question. And I don't know if I'm comfortable giving a definitive, like, oh, this is where I'm at on this, because I've asked this question and continue to ask the question of, why do some people integrate their trauma and others don't? And I think it's somewhere along the line, we're born curious. We are born scientists. We are born philosophers. We are born artists. And then there comes this conformist mentality. And so where did I lay that down at? Where was I fractured in my soul? Like Harry Potter, or like I am Harry Potter and I am Voldemort. Like I can relate to both of them. It's the human experience of, raise your hand if you came through childhood and you weren't wounded. And we've got a lot of people just walking around like they're not carrying baggage from their childhood. And so it's like, when did we stop asking questions? Was it when our stepdad snapped on us? When we had courage to raise our hand in class and people started laughing at us, we felt dumb. Where did we begin to surrender our own autonomy, our own sovereignty that has been given to us, endowed by our Creator? Like, when's the last time we've read the Constitution of the United States as opposed to www.facebook.com? Like, I'm just trying to keep it real with you, brother, of like, you want to ask questions, like, we're here. Like, we got two guys connecting right now in the dojo. Iron sharpens iron. Like, if anyone's listening to this, like, you don't have to look any further. Like Mike Jackson told us, like, begin with the man in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you've sat in front of a mirror and just stared at yourself? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to sit at a table, right? Mm-hmm. And across from another person for 6 minutes and stare at them. But when's the last time you've stared at yourself?
Mm-hmm. And I
you
think
know?
that in the context of this discussion, I think that one of the most consistent practices that I had throughout chiropractic school,
Hmm.
especially when I got opened up to the bigness of chiropractic, was that each day is an opportunity to learn and grow, not be a victim of circumstance. There's going to be challenges along the way that we can easily just kind of fold and go along with the flow and just say, this is just the cards that I've been dealt. Or we can get into the introspective self and say, okay, what are the constructive elements of this experience, and what are the destructive elements, and how can I focus more on being constructive, and having constructive habits in my day to day, and getting a little bit better each day, by doing certain things just a little bit more refined, or with a little bit more alignment with who I am, and not like other
Hmm.
people that have told me you should do this, this, and this in this kind of a way, but just saying, okay, that's your template. And I'm going to listen and be receptive and be open to learning new things, but I'm also going to take that and make it my own. And I think that's what being a chiropractic student is really about. And it touches on many of the things that you just mentioned in your previous um, thing there. So, can you just open us up to what your chiropractic student experience has been like? Um, you get to school
Yeah.
all the way to the point where you're at right now?
Yeah. It's unique. I'm 31. So I've got a wife, 6 years. I've got a daughter. Um, so I'm a family man. So automatically I'm on the periphery of the typical Cairo student journey. I'm viewing life from a couple different perspectives that if you go to high school, then go to undergrad, and then go right in, like there's just going to be a difference in life experience. That coupled with I'm like a 6-time college dropout, all of my own volition. Like high school, I went to high school to study sports and I played school and had a lot of success. So it's like when I come out to college and I'm not playing sports anymore, like I'm soaking up the world trying to learn everything I can, and it's like I get bored with stuff. And so it's like the fact that you are a chiropractic student, I think you need to laugh and consider yourself like you are a very peculiar person. Okay, and you are about to enter, it's going to be like a superhero movie. You're about to step on campus and you're going to start judging books by their cover, and the more experiences you have with others and the more you get to know it, you begin to realize like, whoa, there's a lot of geniuses on campus. Like there's a lot of people coming from diverse life experiences, and you begin to get this feeling of I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And maybe this whole black sheep, over the course of my whole life, feeling like an enigma or a pariah, or I just don't fit in, or all of a sudden you're going to get there and you're going to start drinking from a fire hose on one hand, and intellectually, can you keep up? Like, can you play the simulation? Can you play the game that is trying to weed you out? Like, do you have what it takes? You will be a doctor. Like, we are taking what you think a doctor is, and we are going to put you through this process. And you're going to come out the other end, and you're going to be a clinician, you know? And so I think it's very much like going to a theme park and strapping up for a ride that just does not end. And I'm still free falling. I'm still trying to assemble the parachute. Um, I've had experience in a master's of business administration program, and I've had experience in a master's of education program. So I view the game, I view the system, like my professors have no clue of my background. They have no clue that I've done education consulting. They have no clue that I was a teacher for 8 years. I've taught more than some of my professors.
Mhm.
It's like I have a more intimate understanding of the philosophy of education that I believe in. And in turn, I'm sitting in class and I'm like, I don't think this professor has ever had to write a dissertation on their philosophy of education. And if so, I'd be very curious to want to read it.
Mhm.
Which, circling back around, comes back to pre-Cairo of knowing yourself as just a human whether you're coming in as an adult learner to chiro school or whether you're coming in, straight out of high school graduation, you're only going to create a win-win for yourself if you have mindfulness practices, if you're journaling, if you're surrounded by people that are on this path of, I want to grow in awareness so that I can grow into a more whole relationship with myself. It's already whole, but there's interference. And so I think a lot of our pre-chiro questions can be answered with getting around guys like us that are having substantial conversations on topics that are important. Like, why do you go to chiro school in the first place? At the end of the day, my chiro experience is work. It's work and more work. It's no different than the cement guys outside. It's no different than the trash truck. It's no different than lawyers. It's no different than what your mom and it's work. There are no secrets, only kung fu. Kung fu translated is hard work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like pre-chiro is going to set the table for you. Pre-chiro is a labor of love of like, yo, I love you as a younger sibling. And this is what I wish someone would have told me. Like, I'm trying to collapse 20 years of your life right now. This is the priceless gift that you're doing, brother. And I see the vision. I feel the vision. Like, I'm with you in it because it's needful. But let's be real, bro. Our education system has been so broken for so long that like we need not just a pre-chiro, we need a pre-life for when these kids get out of high school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of what the intention behind pre-chiro is to do, is to continue to build infrastructure. I think, to echo on what you just mentioned, the more I gained reverence in how powerful I was based on my previous life experiences and the diverse background I came from, of being a massage therapist, college student, somebody who had grown up in a community where I didn't look the same as everybody around me, but I was thrown in as a science experiment by my parents. I was thrown into the mix. I was thrown in with people from a kaleidoscope of colors, of different cultures, and it strengthened me, it hardened me. And so I have so much of an inner love and appreciation for myself that I take a genuine interest in others. And I have the capacity to do a project like this where I'm really just trying to reach out and touch as many people as I can that are out there that are like, where am I? What is my purpose? And how can I find the most impact in my path, or how can I make the most impact in my community that I care so much about but don't know how to help? And so I'm not here to create answers, I'm here to create questions. And I appreciate people like you who see where we're going with this, because yes, due to the infrastructure of education not being project based but being more of a didactic in the classroom type of, you follow the curriculum and you go with what your teachers are telling you to do, you're not given opportunities to really reach your potential within the context of that program. So as a pre-chiro student, I really want to increase the amount of opportunities available to prospective students so that they can go deeper and they can follow this independent study that we're promoting to them, that they have the opportunity to really see what they're capable of. And I just think that when I was a younger person, if I had opportunities given to me where it's like, hey, you have your own set of unique interests, your own set of unique values, take those, look at what we're showing you is the theme of the moment or the theme of this class, and make it your own. And so I really just appreciate you being so eloquent in how you describe the different backgrounds that people are entering into chiropractic school with, and how the goal is the same. You have to leverage who you are, what your background was, to really reach your peak so that you can have the capacity to serve others wholeheartedly with full clarity of what your values are, what your beliefs are, and just being curious, what are theirs, where are they coming from, what's important to them. So the pre-chiro program that we're establishing for chiropractic students is aimed at opening you up to what chiropractic is. Why would you become a chiropractor? What are some of the motivating factors that brought people to chiropractic school? But how is that shifted within them once they became chiropractic students and got more clarity of what chiropractic is? Then we transition into a deeper development of your inner state, because as the theme of this conversation has continued, it's all about you developing who you are and knowing what your focus is and what you want to focus more on. So becoming a better scientist, becoming a better thinker, becoming a better artist and a better teacher and a better entrepreneur is how you're going to arrive at this very strong version of yourself. And then we take you to that third level, or that third step or stage in your development, which is spending time in the real world, spending time in practices that are alive, that have energy, that they give you and that you're able to give to them. So really having an engagement with real world chiropractic practice. The fourth stage is challenging you to step out of your comfort zone and get into an entrepreneurial venture where maybe you start a pre-chiro club on your campus and you think of it like you're starting a chiropractic practice in your community, but you're on a college campus, and you start to engage with your fellow students and maybe teachers or guidance counselors about chiropractic and help them better understand the value that it would look like to have a chiropractor in the college campus health center, or have local chiropractors supporting the college students that are stressed out, that are going through some deep challenges. And then finally, the fifth stage is your typical admissions process, but with a twist, with an independent capstone-like project influence, where we're saying, hey, study whatever you want to study, make it relevant so that when you get to chiropractic school, you've already taken some deeper steps into what is important to you. So I'm curious, Colton, what do you think students can do today to build that inner scientist, that inner thinker, that inner artist, that inner teacher, that inner entrepreneur before they get to chiropractic school, so that when they get to chiropractic school, they can have a richer experience, a more engaged experience, and more clarity of what they're looking to get better at?
It's a great question. First thing that comes to mind is guard your heart. You've got this vision, you've got this dream, you guard your heart with all diligence. Then recognize that the issues externally that we're having, it's flowing from our heart. And so don't let anyone come in and try to take what is rightfully yours. And if you've got this vision to be a chiropractor, start visualizing like who inspires you, who is within arm's length that is actually doing what you want to do. And don't just go and follow them like the Pied Piper. Go look for the top 25% of chiropractors, the performers, and then go follow them. And that's straight from my dad's, playbook of life, of like, go look at the top 25% of performers that are actually doing it and follow their breadcrumbs and put in the work.
100%. How have you developed, because you've been through an MBA and you've been through a master's in education, or at least touched into it and tapped into it and to the essence of it and seen it in yourself, and tried to see yourself more as an entrepreneur maybe, or more as a teacher. What are some insights you can share with prospective students on how they can develop those specific elements or aspects of themselves?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is being faithful, available, and teachable to the present moment. You are where you are today as a result of many decisions. And oftentimes I think we like to dream real big and envision irrespective of reality, of like, I am where I am today because of who I've been choosing to show up as. And so it's so important for me. It's like, okay, if you're a high school student and you're in band, or you've got this or you've got that, like, is your bed even made? And if your bed isn't made, like, why are you listening to this podcast if your bed's not made? Like, if we're not being faithful with what's at hand, like ChiroColton, Why do I refer to myself as ChiroColton? Because anything you get from me is going to be from my hand. I'm speaking from what I have experienced. Like, I am determined to live a life where it's like, if I'm saying something, then I know why I'm saying it. I have a good reason, or at least I think I have a good reason. And so if someone's looking to improve their thinking, or they're looking to improve this entrepreneur, like, how you take out the trash matters. Like, where are your shoes at right now? Like, you want to talk about being a doctor? Like, come on, fam. Like, tie your shoes. And people don't think that that's not related to an MBA program, but I promise you it is.
I mean, John
Promise
Wooden,
you.
one of the best basketball coaches of all time, just focused on how you should put your socks on. And for a lot of people that are going to go and read that book Wooden one day, the focus is on like the socks. And it's like, how
The
does that relate to the
socks,
game of
bro.
basketball?
Dude, I grew up like, my dad is a Wooden combined with a Phil Jackson, and he was a collegiate championship ball player. And so it's like, the details, the socks matter, and I think, we've all experienced it being in high school, and it's like, we just want to get out. We just want to launch. Why? Why do we want to launch? To where? For what? For whom? See, it only takes about 7 questions before we get to the end of the rabbit hole and realize, I don't know if I want to hold on to this current thought process. And that's okay. That should be celebrated. But I think it comes back to, who are you surrounding yourself with? Like, if you want to know all things pre-chiropractic, you know where you need to come to. Come to pre-chiro. Like you sit with this.
No, absolutely. There's enough that's been spoken about in these last 25 minutes to reflect on for the entirety of your undergraduate, time in college. And my hope is to develop a breadth of communication that just continues to evoke more of a substantive experience, that the quality of your experience is really determined by the time that you spend and what you're spending it on, where your focus is, what gives you energy, what you're most passionate about, what's most important right now in this moment, to the power of consistency, right? And if you can continue to come back to pre-chiro as your high school and college student, and even as a chiropractic student, and feel that support, feel that understanding that these are the things that you're going through in the core curriculum that's been placed upon you by the program that you enrolled in, but this is the supplemental experiences that we believe are essential for your growth and evolution as a human being on this planet that's looking to make the most of their time spent here right now. That's a success. That's our success. That's what we're going to base our success on. So I appreciate you bringing such a depth of communication that is so important to a high school or college student who's maybe lost, and that's totally fine, in their own lack of curiosity.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate having the opportunity. I mean, at the end of the day, a chiropractor is going to be an expert in what? And it's just amazing. Just sit with that question. Just ask chiropractors that question, and all the different answers. And it's like, man, Stevenson keeps on taking me back to, a chiropractor is going to be an expert in intelligence and matter. That's a large solar system. That's a large galaxy. And that's why it's so crucial with pre-chiro to think, hey, there's different modes of thinking we can have. And one thing you need to realize as a chiropractor is, you've got to think like a scientist, a philosopher, an artist, but an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur. So thank you. This message is so needful, because I see a sea of people that light bulb reality has not clicked yet with them, and they have no idea that, not only are you $250,000 going to be in debt, but you failed to look at the opportunity sunk cost of the 4 years that you've been in school. And so now all of a sudden, like, to what you could have been earning and what you could have been investing and not going in debt for, now we're looking at a $500,000 decision. Who in their right mind would sign up for that?
Mm-hmm. If you look at it from that point of view, absolutely, 100%.
Right. Hopefully only the chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Like hopefully you're seeing the bigness. Like, go look at the AMA federal court dispute back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you step into chiropractic, I want you to realize, although it's a minority right now, you've got a group of people that are training like Jedis. You've got a group of people that with your generation have already been creating this ripple so that I can step into it. What you and your homies were doing, you had no idea the roots you were putting down. And I think we're entering the golden age of wellness and health and vitality. But you got to realize something, like, don't get sucked into the drone of not thinking for yourself and go through Chiro school and not be training, not be developing a wholer view of oneself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, surround yourself with excellence, surround yourself with people that know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't know who they are, they're at least going to get 1% more in touch with themselves today. So thank you for setting this beautiful table, brother.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, and you talk about being an expert in intelligence and matter, and it's like, as a chiropractic student, so many of your experiences are going to be just observation, observing nature, observing the intelligence in nature, observing the intelligence in a person and how they've been able to adapt to their circumstances. Not everybody is given an easy road in this life, but everybody finds a way to keep moving forward, or they just allow themselves to move beyond. But seeing that intelligence and matter is such a amazing way to really look from every single angle at life as you're going through it, and be conscious and be aware of, wow, like, these people are looking at it from this angle and I'm looking at it from this angle, and like, how are we looking at it, how are we looking at the same thing in completely different ways, and really just having respect for others, to honor that, hey, that's okay. I don't need to change that. I don't need to change everything. Being a chiropractor is often described as being a change agent, because when we step into somebody's life, we're so different from them that we invite them to come into our world and practice what it's like to live a more conscious and health oriented, or a more conscious and adaptation oriented, or just be more willing to do things different for the sake of better adaptability, or for the sake of honoring that intelligence in your inside of yourself. So I really appreciate you saying intelligence and matter, because I think that, you know, the Reggie Gold triune of intelligence, matter, and force is often misconstrued as something that we have to do to somebody, not with somebody, and we have to be pushing, not pulling them. And in real world practice, a lot of it is about, like, just inviting and not having an expectation and not being attached to an outcome. So many chiropractors are so attached to making that sale or that close or making that impact. But in reality, just being with somebody in the present moment, you're already doing so much more than most people have ability to have. So enjoy
Right.
your family, my brother. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing. And do you
Thank
have any
you.
final message for these pre-Chiro students who are just exploring the paths that they may wish to take?
Have fun. My goodness, like, you have already won the greatest competition of your life just by being born. And all you got to do is study embryology to see how much sperm was in the race. You know, like, you made it. And it's like, your life is your life to express. And I want to invite you to express abundantly by living the examined life. So stay curious, stay in awe. You got two guys right here that you know you can connect with if you're looking for more insight, if you're looking for maybe the next step of the next question that one might ask. You got two big brothers right here that love with arms wide open and heart exposed, that are simply just trying to leave this place better than we found it. So with love, I appreciate all of you guys. Seek peace above all else.
Beautiful.